Who else is pro-America, pro-freedom? Lara Trump, Fox News contributor. Oh, yeah. We know it for a fact that she is. Lara, thanks so much for joining the program today.
Good morning.
Good morning. We want to get you to weigh in on what's happening in Cuba and all of those. You spent a lot of time on the campaign trail. I remember seeing you in Florida with those folks, and they are anti-socialism. We saw that. What about this fight that is happening in Cuba right now and the White House response to those folks?
Well, it's really the lack of White House response, Lawrence, I think you mean. We really have not heard very much at all from the Biden administration, from President Biden. And look, you're right. I got to spend so much time in South Florida on the campaign trail, and I met so many Cuban Americans, either people that were refugees that escaped, under Castro, people whose families have come here from Cuba. They told me that what they have started to see in America is frighteningly close to what they started to see happen in Cuba over 60 years ago. It is time to give these people freedom in Cuba, period. I don't know anybody that disagrees with that. It's funny whenever you don't hear, by the way, from the AOCs of the world, from the Bernie Sanders of the world, the people that have been pushing these socialist, communist ideas on America. Where are they in this fight? Everybody should be standing up alongside Cubans, but I hope we as Americans take this as a warning. When you start censoring information like we saw happen during the campaign last year, when you start censoring information on social media, when you take the sitting president of the United States off of social media, it is a real slippery slope, and it's very easy to see how these folks ended up in this place in Cuba. We should take it as a warning in America. Freedom isn't free. We have to fight for it, and let's make sure we never find ourselves in the same place as these poor people in Cuba.
Absolutely. And Laura, the first things we heard from the administration on Monday morning were the protests in Havana were a manifestation because they were sick and tired of the COVID. It was all about the COVID. And then the administration came out and said, we stand by the people. So, we haven't really heard Joe Biden come out and denounce communism. The reason those people are in the streets is they hate communism. It's terrible. So you got to figure when Peter Doocy asked the administration yesterday about communism, this is their chance to say, yeah, communism is terrible. Do they? Let's roll the tape.
Do you think that people are leaving Cuba because they don't like communism?
I think we've been pretty clear that we think people are leaving Cuba, or not leaving Cuba, or protesting in the streets as well, because they are opposed to the oppression, to the mismanagement of the government in the country. And we certainly support their right to protest. We support their efforts to speak out against their treatment in Cuba.
So they support the right to speak out, but where's the communism is terrible? We should embrace these people if they want to come to the United States. Where's that part?
Well, you would think that in the United States of America, it wouldn't be too big an ask of the press secretary for the President of the United States to say very simply, point blank, we do not agree with communism. It is bad. It has never worked anywhere. But why, Steve, you're right. Why aren't they saying that? What's behind the curtain here? Why can't they come out and say what we've seen happen in Cuba is terrible? Let's never happen, and make sure it never happens in America. They're not doing that. It's kind of confusing, I think, to so many Americans. It's a great question. I would love to get that answered, but I think for so many people have been very wary of what has been happening in America, and they're afraid. We are slipping down the same path. Maybe you don't want to come out and say that if your end game is to socialize America, if your end game is to make Americans fully reliant on the government. So I don't know the answer to that question, but perhaps that's one possibility. We don't know.
Laura, I know you grew up in North Carolina. You went to UNC. No, not UNC. Sorry. You went to
No, Ainsley, don't confuse them.
There are so many great colleges, though, in North Carolina. There's NC State, UNC, you have Duke there, and Davidson is there. And Davidson has a reputation as being extremely tough to get into, a great school. But they have this course now, and it's called Abolish the Police. Can you believe that in North Carolina? We asked the Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson, earlier. He was on with Steve, and Steve asked him about this. This is Lieutenant Governor, your Lieutenant Governor weighing in.
The title of the course itself is very concerning. What we have seen over the last couple of years with this anti-police rhetoric, conservatives and folks on my side of the aisle, and we have been screaming from the rafters that this is going to have dreadful effects for many communities around the nation, and that is proven true. We see this huge spike in crime now ever since we've been browbeating and denigrating and defunding our police agencies across the country, and we see the dreadful effects now.
Lara, weigh in on this, on the course, abolish the police.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, the name is terrible. I cannot believe that a college institution is allowed to do this. I think it's awful. But when did we stop educating our kids, Ainsley, and instead start indoctrinating them? That is exactly what this feels like to me. It's funny, you know, it is about police, this whole course, apparently. They do not even have a police officer coming to talk to the kids. Wouldn't you think that if you were teaching a course on policing, they actually ask in this course, what is policing? Shouldn't we have a law enforcement officer there to answer that question for these kids? But the answer to that is they don't want him there. They don't want a man or a woman there that is a law enforcement officer, because it would actually show that law enforcement works. You go to any Democrat-run major city in America where they have taken funding away from their police, and you see crime skyrocketing, people leaving these cities in droves because we know that policing works. And instead of actually teaching people to hate the police, what about teaching our youth to respect police officers? Gosh, I have to think that if instead of teaching us to hate one another, we taught respect, gosh, there would be so many fewer instances, you would think, of bad situations like we've seen happen before. Let's all respect and love one another and come to the conclusion that is true, that it is because of our law enforcement that we get to live in the greatest country in the world. They keep us safe. And gosh, I hate to see something like this happen, especially, you're right, Ainsley, in my home state of North Carolina.
Well, we reached out to the college, and this is what they had to say. We focus on studies that are liberating and dedicate ourselves to the quest for truth. The offering of any class, whatever its title, reflects that, covers a subject worth studying. You know, Laura, it's not just this course. It is what's happening on the college campuses. I covered it for years. It's happening in high schools today. The indoctrination that is taking place. Do you think conservatives are going to start taking this issue seriously now and beating these schools to the punch, educating at home?
Oh, I think they are. I talked to so many people who in the past year, I mean, that's one thing I think that COVID really did, is it showed people that you can homeschool your kids. And gosh, what a great thing to do, especially when you see the indoctrination, when you see the critical race theory that they're teaching kids in school, teaching us to hate one another instead of love one another. I think that you're going to see more and more people start to homeschool their kids, especially when you got courses like this on college campuses, especially whenever they have full mask mandates now for kids in school coming up starting in the fall. I think we're going to see this on the rise for sure.
Speaking of masks, it was during, I believe, a football game where the governor of the great state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, was seen not wearing a mask. And then later he said, "How the hell am I going to drink a beer with my mask on?" That is one of the slogans that on his website as a fundraiser, he's selling beer cozies and T-shirts and stuff like that. Other things say, "Don't Fauci my Florida." That sells for $12 as we look at the cozies or koozies or stubby cozy as
whatever you call it.
She's from North Carolina.
North Carolina. She says koozie, I bet.
Yeah, that's right. It is a koozie. I know. I don't know what you're talking about, Steve.
All right. I'm just saying. I'm representing the other half of America that thinks it's a cozy. Anyway, look at Randy Weingarten, the head of the big teachers union. She says regarding his merchandise, disgusting. Millions of Floridians are going to die for Ron DeSantis' ignorance, and he's choosing to profit from it. He doesn't care about Floridians. He cares about furthering his own cruel agenda. What do you say to the head of the teachers union?
Wow, well, millions is quite a number. I'm not sure where she got that. The head of the teachers union maybe needs a math course because I don't actually see how that's possible. But aside from that, look, here's what I have to say. I worked for my father-in-law's campaign, and I know we were constantly trying to come up with things that we thought people would want to buy so that we could raise money.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, this is going to sell out. Every person, not just in Florida, but across America, is going to want one of these koozies, Steve, over the summer. I really think this was actually a brilliant move by the DeSantis campaign. And can't we just be a little bit lighthearted? I mean, my goodness, people are probably drinking beer out of these things. And if you look at Florida, by and large, they should have been the model for every state. With COVID, you didn't see the mask mandates long-term there. You saw that small businesses were able to survive, unlike many, many Democrat-run states across America. Gosh, they certainly weren't, killing so many elderly people in assisted living homes like the governor of New York did. So I really think that whenever you look at the big picture here, Florida did the right thing. So let them drink some beer out of their don't Fauci my Florida koozies, for goodness sakes.
That's right. It's a lighthearted moment. And my only criticism is that my state of Texas didn't do it first. So now I can't buy it because I just can't represent another state. You know this being from North Carolina. You got to keep your state first.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, I hope you get one, Lawrence. I'll send you one anyway. We'll see what we can do.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Y'all got to follow her on Instagram, too. She's working out in the gym
congratulations.
every day.
What did you just finish? I saw the picture of you at the race with the other two ladies.
Oh, yeah. I did the New York City Triathlon on Sunday.
She's amazing.
Of course.
She's great.
Of course you did, yeah.
Killer.
I got to do this ride next year. This looks amazing. I hope I can be there for it. It would be incredible.
All right, and it's going to kick off in about a half an hour. Laura, thank you very much for joining us live today.
Thanks, Lara.